I'm Eric Wedge, manager of the Cleveland Indians. Welcome to the ALCS here on Fox. Tonight, here's our starting lineup. Leading off in center field is Grady Sizemore. Batting second, playing second base, is Asdrubal Cabrera. Batting third, our designated hitter, Travis Hafner. Batting fourth, our catcher this evening, Victor Martinez. Batting fifth will be Ryan Garco playing first base. Batting sixth will be Johnny Peralta playing shortstop. Batting seventh playing left field will be Kenny Lofton. Batting eighth, Franklin Gutierrez playing right field. And batting ninth, our third baseman, Casey Blake. And on the mound for the Tribe tonight is CC Sabathia.
All right, Eric Wedge, great start to our broadcast tonight with the lineup. And it's brought to everyone by Dick's Sporting Goods. You look at Josh Beckett, and you look at some of his recent history. He has been almost untouchable. 2003 World Series Game 6, a big reason why he was the World Series MVP. A 5-hit shutout in the clincher at Yankee Stadium. And then last week, Game 1 of the Division Series against the Angels. How about a 4-hit shutout? He's on the mound tonight. We get ready for baseball. Red Sox, Indians, coming right up. We will give you our MasterCard keys to the game, and this is a key for Sabathia. And that bottom line, Tim, is something that the Red Sox will keep in mind this entire ALCS.
I think the bottom line first to keep Sizemore off the bases. Eric Wedge telling us that he can control the game when he's on, and he is on a lot. And speaking of being on, CC Sabathia hopes to be on tonight if he can control his emotions, control his game. Was a little nervous before facing the Yankees in Game 1 of the LDS. And you got to separate Ortiz and Ramirez. What the Indians hope to do is to get those two guys, an Ortiz up with 2 out, nobody on, get him out so Manny leads off the next inning. That's what separating Ortiz and Ramirez means.
Right now it's time for the Budweiser opening pitch. Budweiser, the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Open up a world of taste. These are the teams with the best record in baseball, 96 and 66. The Indians won the Central by 8 games over Detroit. The Red Sox, well, it looked like they would walk away with the AL East, ended up hanging on and beating the Yankees by 2 games. Here's Sizemore. And there's ball 1. Home plate umpire is Randy Marsh. 96-mile-an-hour fastball missed from Beckett, who was the big league's only 20-game winner during the regular season. Grady Sizemore takes a hack. 1 ball, 1 strike, and the statistics for Beckett after an okay first year last year with the Red Sox. He was terrific in 07 for Boston.
Yeah, he won 16 games last year, a pretty good year, but a much better year and a better pitcher in 07.
A strike to Sizemore, that's strike 2.
That's one of the reasons, using the breaking ball, using the straight change a lot more this year, introducing finesse to his repertoire.
And when that curveball gets over, he is almost unbeatable. 1-2 pitch, Sizemore, 1 out.
So 2 fastballs to curveball, and finishes off Sizemore with the fastball, a foul tip into the mitt of Veritek. Still power, but more finesse, as we said, and at 27 years old, already with the reputation of a big game pitcher.
Now it's Asdrubal Cabrera, and a guy who really has solidified the second base position for Cleveland. Took over for Josh Barfield. And when he stepped into the lineup for the Indians on a regular basis and up in the number 2 spot, this Indians team really settled in and ran away with the division. 31 and 13 with Asdrubal Cabrera in the lineup for Eric Wedge. Hafner, the DH, on deck. Victor Martinez cleans up. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's Travis Hafner, who was rewarded with a multi-year contract extension during the season. He is the DH. Been good over the last 16 games, and Cabrera trying to get on in front of him. And Beckett waited too long, so Cabrera hopped out.
shaking Veritek off. The good catchers encourage pitchers to shake them off.
Strike two.
Seems to be fashionable now when people talk about catchers. Well, a pitcher never shakes them off. I mean, you try to encourage pitchers to shake you off because, after all, they're the ones who ultimately have to throw the pitch. They know better than you do.
But almost to a man, this is a pitching staff that will hold up Jason Veritek as a guy who is virtually flawless in calling a game behind the plate.
No question.
Weak swing on a curveball, 2 out. That nasty breaking ball from Josh Beckett.
Cabrera, a good hitter, and he's just helpless. You can see that front side giving. Watch the right foot. It gives, and he gives. 2 straight strikeouts for Beckett.
And now Hafner will dig his way in. Mentioned that Hafner's been hot of late. Last 16 games, he's hitting .382, slugging .600. And he's got 21 RBIs in 15 games played here at Fenway. Trying to keep this top of the first inning alive for Victor Martinez. It's been a ball to start each of the first 3 batters, and that fastball missing. 96 miles an hour, ball 1. That is hit in the air to right. Hafner got under it, but it's carrying at the track, at the wall. 1-0. Indians on top. Home run, Travis Hafner. And Cleveland jumps out in front here in the first inning on Hafner's 2nd home run of this postseason.
Joe, you were talking about it in the opening game comments, how the wind is blowing out to right field. And I think the wind helped this, even though Travis Hafner is so strong. His nickname is Pronk, and he bonks one off Beckett. A 1-0 fastball to give Cleveland the lead. Man.
It was Bill Selby who nicknamed Hafner Pronk because he said you're half prospect, half donkey.
And he loves it.
And Hafner loves it, so his nickname is Pronk. And Pronk just put the Indians out in front 1-0. And for Beckett, before that swing, you had to go back to Game 3 of the World Series of 2003, pitching for the Marlins against the Yankees, when he gave up his last run. Then he worked on 3 days rest, won Game 6, the clincher at Yankee Stadium, and then threw a shutout in Game 1 of the division series against the Angels. But here tonight, it's the Indians out in front. And it's 2-0 on Victor Martinez. Home run ball is something that Beckett has cut down on, certainly from last season when he gave up 36. Two balls and a strike on Victor Martinez. Victor Martinez is the switch hitting catcher. Switch throwing catcher.
How about that? Hits left and right, throws left and right.
A great athlete who has probably been Cleveland's most consistent hitter all year. And a guy who, when they need to keep his bat in the lineup, they put at first base, and he handles himself well over there. 2 balls and a strike, and Martinez hops out. Just 28 years old and part of this new core with the Cleveland Indians. And a lot of their young talent signed through 2010. Martinez hits it in the air down the left field line, slicing, foul. 2-2.
Not a lot of room down either line. That ball harmlessly fouled by about a yard.
Mark Shapiro is the general manager of the Indians, and what a fantastic job he has done of building this team. A lot of it through their own system and organization. And I mentioned that Martinez is signed. So's Peralta. So's Hafner. So's Sizemore. all through 2010. 2 balls, 2 strikes from Beckett to Victor Martinez. Nice controlled swing by Victor, just trying to get a piece of it, spoiled it, trying to place it down the left field line, and the count stays 2-2.
Travis Hafner loves hitting in this ballpark. 22 RBIs in his last 16 games here at Fenway Park.
Another 2-2 is on the inside corner. So in the inning, Beckett strikes out the side, but all he'll be thinking about when he goes to take a seat in the dugout is that. Home run. Travis Hafner. 1-0 Cleveland after a half.
Hi, I'm Terry Francona, manager of the Boston Red Sox. Welcome to the ALCS on Fox. Here's our lineup that we're going to send out there against Cleveland tonight. Dustin Pedroia will be our leadoff hitter playing second base. Kevin Youkilis hits second at first base. Big Papi David Ortiz DHing. Manny Ramirez playing left field. Mike Lowell's our third baseman hitting fifth. Bobby Kielty's the right fielder tonight hitting sixth. Jason Varitek, our captain, catching hitting seventh. Coco Crisp, our center fielder, hitting eighth. And Julio Lugo, the shortstop, hitting ninth. Enjoy the game.
Thank you, Terry Francona. And the starting lineup for Boston brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. And that lineup will be dealing with the big left-hander, CC Sabathia, a 19-game winner and a guy who gave his team 241 innings. 94-mile-an-hour fastball sizzles in for strike one. Dustin Pedroia at the plate. Could very well be and probably should be the American League's Rookie of the Year. Got off to a slow start but really came on, and he has been a spark plug for this Boston team here in 07. 1 ball, 1 strike. So it's Pedroia, then Youkilis, then David Ortiz. This Red Sox attack as a group, Boston hit 279, 5th best average in the AL. That's up the middle, and somehow it found Sabathia's glove.
Whoa. Dustin Pedroia hit it back to Sabathia harder than Sabathia threw it to Pedroia. A rocket. Well, you could see Sabathia taking his time and steadying himself after a shot like that. Here's a guy 5'7" who hits a rocket back to a guy 6'7" who weighs 290. Go figure.
And Sabathia, a big guy but a terrific athlete, and that's just a reflex to get the glove up in self-defense, and the ball just found the webbing. Thankfully. First pitch, a strike to Youkilis, a 288 hitter during the regular season. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kevin is a guy who they love here at Fenway Park. Hard-nosed player and a guy who will hang out over the plate and gets hit more and more and more. 15 times he was plunked during the regular season. Hands, wrists, forearms, and after a while that takes a toll. There's strike 2 on Youkilis. And maybe this is one of the reasons why, since the All-Star break, Youkilis hitting just 239. Check swing foul, and it's still 1-2.
You can see that unusual style of Kevin Youkilis. Not only does he tilt the bat toward the pitcher, but with his right hand he almost fingers the barrel of the bat before he slides it down, and that right hand rarely makes firm contact with the bat until he swings.
And that makes contact with a baseball up the middle to the left of Johnny Peralta. 1 on, 1 out. Big Papi coming up, and the ALCS on Fox, sponsored by Dick's Sporting Goods. Every season starts at Dick's by DirecTV. There's good TV, there's better TV, and then there's DirecTV. by Gillette Fusion Power, the best shave ever. And by Liberty Mutual. Responsibility, what's your policy? So now David Ortiz will dig his way in. And here's a guy who's hitting .420 over his last 23 postseason games and was a nightmare for LA pitching during the division series.
Joe, when Fausto Carmona pitches tomorrow night, Johnny Peralta's going to be over about 10 feet. But with Sabathia on the mound and throwing as hard as he does, I don't think Ortiz is going to pull the ball, as evidenced by that swing. So therefore, Peralta's really on the left side of second base. Against a left-hander throwing that hard, left-hand, even a pull hitter, a power hitter like Ortiz, is not apt to pull the ball unless the ball is down in the strike zone. But a ball right there, he's going to hit the other way.
Quick strike on Ortiz. Led the AL in walks this year with 111. At his best year average-wise at 332. Late on that cut, 96 miles an hour, strike two.
So the check swing and now the 96-mile-an-hour fastball. So one thing about Sabathia, he can just blow you away.
Outside, ball one. Pedroia line back to Sabathia. Euclid singled up the middle. Ortiz now and Manny Ramirez on deck. This 3-4 combination for Boston really gave the entire offense for the Red Sox what they needed, while the pitching did its usual against the Angels in the last round. 1-2 pitch. 97 from Sabathia. We talked to Carl Willis before this game about Sabathia. And Sabathia will deal with this combination of Ortiz and Ramirez, and there their numbers combined against the Angels compared to .218.
We talked about it separating the two. If Ortiz hits it to a double play, then Ramirez leads off the second.
Up the middle, base hit. Euclid holds at second, 2 on for Manny Ramirez.
Boy, that is terrific hitting by Ortiz. You can see Peralta on the left side of second base. The ball's hit to the right side of second base, and Johnny can't get to it. On any other center fielder in the American League, Euclid tries to go to third, but not Grady Sizemore. Just terrific hitting by David Ortiz, protecting the plate, defensive swing up the middle, base hit.
And now Manny Ramirez, who came up with the Cleveland Indians in 1993. And who has hit 236 of his career 490 home runs in an Indians uniform. Takes a ball.
He wears Sabathia out. Wears him out.
4 home runs and 12 out of 21 in his career against this big left-hander. Sabathia, 27 years old, 6'7", 290, from Vallejo, California, signed through next season. Ball and a strike.
Good fastball on the corner to Ramirez.
Strike two.
That looked like a cutter that was designed to be inside. You could see Victor Martinez setting up inside. Pitch stayed away.
center field, another hit. The Red Sox have tied it. Ortiz will hold it second, and Ramirez and Ortiz still red hot.
We talked about separating Ortiz and Ramirez, and immediately they didn't do it. Paid dividends. The fastball, first fastball for a ball, the second one for a strike. Now he tries to come inside to Ramirez, and those quick hands by Manny ties the ball game up.
And Ramirez is out there waving to his teammates in the dugout. I mean, he's a beauty. He's listening to his own music over at first base, but a guy that missed 24 games with a strained oblique. But when the lights shine the brightest, he knows what to do. World Series MVP in 2004. And red hot this postseason. Here is Lowell. And there is ball one. And here is Ramirez. Hi guys. See what I did?
Man who was born to hit.
But doesn't just fall into it. Really works at the art of hitting and studies it.
Yep.
I think the tendency is to think, well, because he kind of does things like we just showed you, or he can take a roundabout route to a ball and left, as Carl Willis, the pitching coach, is going to come out and talk with Sabathia. The tendency would be to think that Manny Ramirez just shows up at the ballpark and steps into the batter's box and hits line drives and home runs, and that is not the case when you talk to his teammates. They'll tell you he works as hard or harder than anybody. Talking to Louis Alicea, first base coach with the Indians from '93 to 2000. And where he developed the whole Manny being Manny reputation. And look at the numbers.
Scary, aren't they? They are so identical. Same average. Home runs, not that far apart. RBIs, almost identical. And about the same amount of games.
Signed through next year, and then the Red Sox have a couple of options if they want to pick him up. Big money, but this time of year he's worth every cent. 2-0 the count on Lowell. 2 on, 1 out, and that 96 miles an hour for strike one. Here's a guy who's a free agent at the end of this year, and there are a lot of teams who are hoping that he gets out onto the open market. This is a career year for Mike Lowell. You look at general manager in the shadows, Theo Epstein, while Mike Lowell, who you will have to make a decision on, is up on the count here, 3 balls and a strike. Ortiz, the lead runner at second. Ramirez on at first. 1 out. Double play ball. Cabrera, Peralta, and that'll do it. Good work by Sabathia to get the 4-6-3 double play. The Red Sox gave up 1 in the first and then tied it. Youkilis a hit. Ortiz a hit. Another single. Manny Ramirez 1-1 after 1. Game 1. This is the 4th time since 1995 that these two franchises have met in the postseason series, as Garco is jammed and grounds to Lowell, 1 out. Johnny Peralta's coming up, then Kenny Lofton. Indians beat the Red Sox in '95 and '98. Boston came back from an 0-2 deficit to win in '99. And when you look at the way, Tim, that this Cleveland team has been remade since the start of the season, even down the stretch in the month of August when Franklin Gutierrez took over in the outfield and right field, as Drupal Cabrera took over at second base, you're looking at a team that top to bottom in their lineup just keeps on coming at you. They're led by Eric Wedge, who's an impressive guy, and told us before the game these guys are playing well. I just sit back and let them go.
Eric implying that the Indians are doing this year and have done this year what they were meant to do last year after that big 2005 series where they gave the Chicago White Sox a run for their money and high expectations. They did not had those in 2006, but this year a terrific job by Eric Wedge and his coaching staff.
There's Eric. And what Eric has that Mike Hargrove didn't have with the Indians back in those seasons during the 90s with those good Indians team is what is on display here tonight. And that is shut down starting pitching at the top of the rotation. He has Sabathia tonight. He has Fausto Carmona tomorrow night in game 2. And you remember back then it was names like Oral Hershiser and aging Dennis Martinez, Charlie Nagy, good pitchers, but not guys in their primes and not guys who can just shut you down. 2 out, nobody on, 2 ground outs to third. Ken Rosenthal of FoxSports.com is with us as he is during the regular season. And Kenny, you just have to come away impressed with the job that Eric Wedge has done with this Indians team.
Absolutely, Joe. Eric Wedge and Terry Francona are 2 strong candidates for American League Manager of the Year. Wedge on Monday will be announced as the winner of 1 major award, the Sporting News Award, which is voted on by his managing peers. All 14 American League managers voted. Wedge received 6 votes, Mike Scioscia 4, Joe Torre, attention George Steinbrenner, received 2 votes, and Francona and Buddy Bell, the outgoing manager of the Kansas City Royals, 1 each. The Baseball Writers Award will be announced in November.
That's left field, and that's Manny being Manny out in left. A little gallop to his left, a lunge, a souvenir, a smile, dreadlocks, an RBI, an inning and a half, a smile. It's 1-1. The ALCS on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for a Budweiser, the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Open up a world of taste. 36,000 plus packed into Fenway Park here tonight. Bottom of the second, tied at 1. And here's Bobby Kelty, who gets the start tonight. J.D. Drew sits because of Kelty's history against CC Sabathia.
9 for 29 lifetime, but you have to be wary of those numbers. Reason for that is Bobby Kelty is 9 for 29. That was a cutter, by the way, on the inside corner. But he's 2 for his last 14. You got to go back 6 or 7 years when Kelty had his success against CC Sabathia, and at that time he was 21 years old and a young fireballer.
And he starts the inning with a strikeout. That for Sabathia is his first of the night. And so Kelty, who used to play with Minnesota, this year was released by Oakland, picked up by the Red Sox, gets the start. And there are the numbers: 9 for 29 overall, 2 homers, but 2 for the last 14. Now add in this one, a strikeout to start the second inning. So the recent history is not so good.
No, back in 2001 and 2002, CC Sabathia couldn't throw pitches like he struck Kelty out on his last time at bat.
There's Jason Varitek. 17 home runs. And the leader of this Boston team. That's on the outside corner. For Varitek, you do get a lot of clutch hits. You do get offense, but it's almost icing on top because of what he means to this rotation and to the guys in the bullpen, young and old, with what he does putting down signs and managing a game. It's 0-2 on the Red Sox catcher. And if you ask Beckett or you ask Schilling or you ask Papelbon or anybody, they will sing the praises of Varitek and the pitching coach John Farrell here with the Red Sox. On the inside corner, Sabathia strikes out the first 2.
6 straight strikes for Sabathia against first Kelty, and now threads the needle on Varitek inside, right on the corner.
And now it's Coco Crisp. Coco Crisp was traded from the Cardinal organization to the Indians for a rent-a-pitcher, Chuck Finley, and then had some good seasons with the Indians. They needed to move him on to allow Grady Sizemore a chance to play. This is the end of Coco's second season here in Boston. He's come on of late, but hasn't totally been what the Red Sox hoped for since he took over for Johnny Damon. First pitch strike. That's 7 straight from Sabathia, make it 8. And he's 0-2 on Crisp. Ball 1. Indians got a home run from Hafner in their half of the first. The Red Sox an RBI base hit by Manny Ramirez to tie it. And now a 2-2 count on Crisp with 2 out, nobody on.
Sabathia walked 6 Yankees in the first game of the division series. He worked 5 innings. He was credited with the win, but uncharacteristic wildness against New York.
How about striking out the side here in the second inning?
Not tonight.
First it was Kelty, then Veritek and Crisp. Third inning rolls in at Fenway, tied at 1. Third inning rolls in here at Fenway Park. Beckett deals a fastball for a strike to Franklin Gutierrez, a 24-year-old who took over in right field, and he was the other piece along with Asdrubal Cabrera toward the end of August when they settled into this lineup. It was pull-away time for the Indians over the Tigers in the AL Central. 1 ball, 1 strike. Gutierrez, a year before he was traded to the Indians organization, was the Dodgers minor league player of the year, and a guy that a lot of the Dodger minor league coaches were really excited about. He was part of a Milton Bradley trade, and he has finally come into his own. A breaking ball has Franklin Gutierrez frozen in the count. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Dodgers wanted Milton Bradley for that 2004 series, and the Indians were willing to wait for Gutierrez to blossom, and he certainly has.
On deck is Casey Blake, then Grady Sizemore. A 1-1 game in the third, and that's in the dirt. 2-2. Josh Beckett is making his 7th career postseason start. 3 complete game shutouts to his credit. And he rings up his 4th strikeout of the night on another good breaking ball. Our AT&T trivia question for Casey Blake digs his way in. Can you name the 3 players remaining on their team from the 1999 Cleveland Boston divisional series matchup?
That's on both teams.
Yes.
Well, Kenny Lofton's won with Cleveland.
Casey Blake wasn't around then. He chops 1 foul, strike 1. How about Veritek?
Yep. Think. Yep, I think.
Manny had not been traded or picked up as a free agent, rather, at that point.
Right, he was still with Cleveland.
You want to just stop there?
Yeah.
Yeah, let it go. Blake, 97 from Josh Beckett. 0-2.
Sabathia topping out at 97. Now it's Beckett's turn.
And it's not just 97, it's where it is. 97 with decent movement on it.
On the hands.
Sizemore on deck. That just doesn't look like it's fun to catch when it's that far down and away, and Veritek has to reach and have it almost spin him around at home plate.
But for the most part, Josh Beckett is the type pitcher that's relatively easy to catch. some breaking balls in the dirt. That last fastball got away from him.
1-2 pitch is hit hard left side. Lowell. 2 away. Mike Lowell is an outstanding defensive third baseman, a career high 15 errors this season. But he is usually one of the best over there, and that's part of his resume that he'll be carrying with him if he does indeed become a free agent at the end of the year. 2 out, nobody on. Sizemore struck out his first time, as did Cabrera, who followed him, and then Travis Hafner hit a home run into right. Red Sox came right back to tie it. Hits by Euclid, Ortiz, and Ramirez. There's ball 1 to Grady Sizemore. Sizemore, 20 or more home runs, 75 RBIs or more, 100+ runs in all 3 of his full seasons. Good low delivery with a wrinkle on the end of it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, again, behind in the count is Sizemore. I beg your pardon, ahead in the count, and he gets the breaking ball. Curveball and fastball situations. That's the biggest difference in Beckett this year and last year. See, when you throw the breaking ball and you get a swinging strike, now you can come back with a fastball, because that breaking ball has actually slowed down the bat in a hitter's mind. It slows it down. Now you can bust him inside.
Five strikeouts for Beckett. 3 for Sabathia. 2.5, tied at 1. Sabathia back to the hill, bottom of the 3rd inning. Julio Lugo, the number 9 hitter for Boston, in a 1-1 game. Dustin Pedroia and then Kevin Euclid. And Rose and Pete getting a shout out for this honeymoon.
All right.
All snuggled up on a cold night here at Fenway. Lugo the opposite way down the right field line. It's a fair ball, and it hops out of play. Ground rule double to start the 3rd inning for Boston.
Anytime a ball hops over that part of the fence, it's a break for the defense, because right field at Fenway Park is treacherous because of that area right in there. If that ball hugs the wall and crawls around into the position, it's more than a double, a triple, and that's where you get an inside the park home run in this ballpark. Right fielders do not like that area right in there. It's very, very difficult to play.
Center field's no picnic either, with the different angles out there. Talked to Grady Sizemore before the game about that. It's a big center field. Pedroia pushes a bunt to the right side. Over to 3rd is Lugo. 1 out. And Euclid is coming up. We give you a game summary. Travis Hafner went deep with 2 out, nobody on in the 1st inning to give Cleveland a short-lived lead, because Manny Ramirez came right back. 3 straight singles by Euclid, Ortiz, and Ramirez. It was a 1-1 game, and now both pitchers are settling in. Sabathia just gave up a leadoff double. The sacrifice bunt by Pedroia, along with Tim and Ken and Chris Myers and Joe Buck. Producer Pete Macheska, director Bill Webb. Game 1 of this ALCS. Euclid takes high, ball 1. That's what he's done in the postseason so far. 4 out of 13. With a home run, 2 RBIs, and there's another possibility over at 3rd with 1 out. 2-0. The DH, David Ortiz, next. 3-0. Sabathia on 3-0 deals high, and ball 4 will put runners at the corners. First walk by CC Sabathia. And here comes David Ortiz. What he's done in the postseason.
Papa loves mambo. Mama loves mambo. Look at him sway with it, getting so gay with it, shouting olay with it. Wow. Papa loves mambo.
That's from 2004 on, and he was such a big part of that come from behind Red Sox win in the ALCS, down 3-0 to the Yankees. And he has carried it on.
Yeah, that song was not from 2004.
No.
No Perry Como hits in 2004.
First and third, 1 out, ball 1 outside. Now Peralta is on the other side of the second base bag. First at bat for Ortiz. Peralta was on the shortstop side of second. Ortiz went right through that spot where Peralta's standing now, and so Johnny is in that position. 1-0 pitch. Good pitch by Sabathia. 1 ball, 1 strike. Averages up, power and production numbers down from a year ago for David Ortiz, but it's a different time of year. And he is drilled to load him up.
Trying to come inside to David Ortiz to make that outside corner fertile and open up that outside corner. And the ball runs in and hits Ortiz. It appears that it hit him mid-torso and appears to be all right.
He said something to crack up Terry Francona. It got some of his chest or abdomen, but it got a lot of jersey hanging over the plate as well.
Got a lot of uniform, yeah.
So the bases are loaded for Manny Ramirez.
Remember, again, you can't re-emphasize this enough. This is one thing that the Indians did not want, is to have Manny Ramirez hitting behind Ortiz in the same inning.
20 career grand slams for Manny Ramirez. Second only to Lou Gehrig. Late with that swing, strike 1.
You can see once again Martinez setting up outside. The pitch is inside.
Red Sox this season had the second fewest in the big leagues as far as sacrifice hits. A sacrifice in this third inning by Pedroia, followed by a walk, a hit batsman, and now 0-2 on Manny Ramirez. Lugo started this inning with a double. Then the bunt. Walk to Euclid. Ortiz hit. And Sabathia trying to figure out a way to get Manny Ramirez. Good block by Victor Martinez.
Well, that was excellent. That was that breaking ball about 57 feet. Pitcher's mound 60 feet 6 inches from home plate. And when catchers get that ball in front of the plate like that and block it, then you know it is an excellent block. Fine play by Martinez.
every part of the catching game getting better for Victor Martinez.
Right.
Including his throwing. What's it going to be on 1 and 2? Another one.
That was equally difficult because it hit the plate. Breaking ball that hit the plate. And what happens to those, they have a tendency to skid. No, hit in front of the plate, beg your pardon. The ones that hit the plate skid and stay low. They're very, very difficult to block. That one just on the edge of the plate.
It was 0-2, now it's 3-2. Two to 1 Boston on a bases loaded walk to Manny Ramirez.
Even with 2 strikes, fighting back and driving in a run with a bases loaded walk. The fastball, a bad pitch. So Ramirez in the hole, 0-2. You got him, right? 2 breaking balls miss. The 2-2 fastball is low, and the 3-2 breaking ball or cutter is low. And Manny Ramirez, I mean, with most power hitters, you get 0-2 and you know he's going to go after at least 1 in the dirt. Not so with Manny Ramirez. His pitch identification skills are remarkable.
So he's driven in both runs tonight. 2-1 Boston out in front. Carl Willis talking to Sabathia, and coming up later tonight, Ubaldo Jimenez will pitch for Colorado, up 1-0 on Arizona. Doug Davis, a left-hander for the Diamondbacks, a winner in Game 2 over Chicago. No decision for Jimenez in Game 3. The end of the sweep by Colorado over Philadelphia, and that's from our friends at TBS at 10 o'clock Eastern. Game 2. Rockies up with their win last night, 5-1. Here's Lowell, and there is ball 1. Chip Carey, Bob Brenly, our former partner here at Fox, Tony Gwynn, bringing the action later on tonight in the NLCS. Here's a 1-0 pitch with the bases loaded. Lowell tried to jump on it, and Sabathia, a high hard one, a ball and a strike.
That's exactly what he did, lunging at the ball, and that's one of the worst habits a hitter can get into. One of the things you want to do as a hitter is to wait and hope your hands are quick enough to hammer it.
Into right field, tough play. To his right, Gutierrez touched it. It hops out of play. 2 more runs are going to score. Four to 1 Red Sox lead it here in the bottom of the 3rd.
When Mike Lowell came to Fenway Park, he was a pull hitter. In the last 2 years, he has learned to go the other way superbly, and he plates 2 more for the Red Sox. The ball off the glove of Gutierrez and into the right field stands. Just got the webbing of the glove on it, and it went in the stands for a double. Fine hitting by Lowell.
Now the Indians are going to walk Kelty. And by the way, with Gutierrez knocking that ball out of play, that ball was almost past him. It goes back to the ball hit by Lugo at the start of this inning. That ball gets by him, stays in play. At least 1 more run scores. This will be an intentional pass to Kelty to load him up for Varitek.
Joe, I think it's worthwhile to revisit the keys of the game. You can see that top when Sabathia controls himself, he controls the game. Well, he's walked 3 in this inning. And the left-hander, the big left-hander, has not separated Ortiz and Ramirez. 2 singles in the first inning, and then a hit by pitch and a walk to Ramirez. And then the Mike Lowell double has separated that score here in the third.
So the bases are loaded again, this time for Varitek, who struck out looking his first time, and Sabathia looking for his second double play ball of the night. He needs it. Bases loaded, 1 out, strike 1. 24 pitches already this inning from Sabathia. In the first inning, the 2, 3, and 4 hitters, Euclid, Ortiz, and Ramirez, went single, single, single. Here in the third, a walk, a hit by pitch, a walk. Part of this 3-run rally with a chance for more. One ball, 1 strike. If you only watched Sabathia pitch so far this postseason and don't know much about his regular season, don't think that he's typically a wild left-hander. That's not the case at all. Slow hopper, third base side, only 1 play, 2 out, a run scores. 5-1 here in the third inning on a ground out by Varitek. Manny Ramirez comes around to score. He walked with the bases loaded. And for Sabathia, he walked only 37 all season. He walked 6 in the start against the Yankees. He has walked 3, 1 intentionally in this inning, and hit a batter.
Yeah, during the regular season, only Greg Maddux and Paul Byrd, his teammate, had better walks per 9 innings ratio. So he was 3rd in the major leagues. Unusual wildness in his 2 starts in the postseason.
Gets ahead with a strike on Coco Crisp, the 9th man to bat in the inning for Boston. Hard hit, tough play. Blake knocks it down, has to hurry, and gets Crisp by a step. But in the frame, 4 runs for Boston here in game 1 after 3. They lead Cleveland 5-1. Top of the 4th inning, it's a 5-1 Boston lead here in game 1, and Asdrubal Cabrera will lead it off. The number 2 hitter, then Travis Hafner, Victor Martinez, and a fastball 96 is high for ball 1. Cabrera struck out his first time. Beckett has struck out 5. The only hit, the home run by Hafner. High again, 2-0. We had a chance to visit with Terry Francona during the last break, and we will give you that conversation after Cabrera does something to start the 4th. On the inside corner, 2-1. Josh Barfield picked up from San Diego. Kevin Kuzminoff was sent out to the Padres. It's now Cabrera's position. Under it, flies it into shallow center, and with Lugo going out, he hauls in out number 1. Here's our chat with Terry Francona. First question about the man on the mound and the way Josh Beckett is pitching so far.
Yeah, he left the fastball up to Hafner, but other than that, he's getting his breaking ball over. He's getting to the flow of the game, and he's going to have to. They got a good lineup.
We mentioned that when he gets his breaking ball over, that curveball, and he's throwing it for strikes and getting swings and misses, he is awfully tough to beat.
Well, we certainly hope that's the case. You know, he starts mixing in his changeup and locating his fastball. He's been doing it all year. We got a lot of baseball left tonight.
Yeah, Terry, 2 opposite field doubles by Mike Lowell and Julio Lugo have to make you feel good.
Yeah, and I think our at bats, at least so far far have been pretty disciplined. You know, Manny's at bat was huge, being down in the count and not leaving the strike zone. That's what we need to do.
Last question: what did Big Papi tell you when you saw him out at first base after he got hit?
It's not G-rated, so I can't tell you.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
It made you laugh, though.
Yeah, it did.
All right, thanks, Terry.
Okay.
Terry Francona has been on a terrific roll here with the Boston Red Sox. Hafner rips it foul. And it's a topic, Tim, that you and I have talked about so many times on Fox Saturday Baseball. We talked about it over and over in 2004. Why he is not in the conversation about who are the best managers in the game today is stunning. But the job that he's done since taking over in that dugout for the Red Sox in 04 and winning the World Championship that year, and what he's done since then, he really needs to be regarded and respected for what he's been able to do here with Boston.
I couldn't agree more. Ken Rosenthal talking earlier about Eric Wedge and Terry Francona being in the race for manager of the year. In my view, Terry Francona is the manager of the year in the American League.
Managed in Philadelphia from '97 to 2000. Was part of the Indians organization for a while as a special assistant to John Hart, the GM there, for a long time. And when you look at his 14-6 career postseason record, bringing the World Championship here for the first time in 86 years, his winning percentage, Ken Rosenthal, he has really done a remarkable job.
He sure has, Joe. And one of the things he does extremely well, like Joe Torre, is kind of protect his team from some of the peripheral things that go on. He has a lot of issues that he has to deal with in that clubhouse, Manny being one of them. There's some other big personalities as well. Schilling certainly is a big personality. But Terry Francona sets the tone, keeps things stable. When it comes to manager of the year, though, the reason I think Wedge will rate the edge is because his payroll is 23rd and Terry Francona is his second.
Off the end of the bat, and Hafner stays up there at 1 and 2. Well, I don't think you could go wrong picking either way. And for what Wedge has done on the other side, in the other dugout, as we talked about, almost redefining this Indians lineup as the season went on, to have them really pounding out hits and runs and pitching, rotation, bullpen at the right time. Can't quarrel with either guy getting the nod.
Nope.
Still 1 and 2 on Hafner. On deck, Victor Martinez. A check swing. Veritek has to chase it down in case Hafner went around, and he didn't. So the count's 2 and 2, but that's Veritek thinking and not just assuming that it was a check and no swing.
Yeah, it's a very alert play. In fact, Travis Hafner almost went around. Ball in the dirt. Veritek hastily trying to recover that ball in the dirt as it bounces almost halfway to the Indians' dugout, but he did not go around.
So Hafner hops back in there with a 2-ball, 2-strike count. 2 postseason home runs, including the one in the first inning here tonight. Another one in the dirt, another check swing, and the count's full.
That's an interesting call. That last one in the dirt that got away from Veritek. You want the appeal made immediately so the runner will know to go to first base if he did go too far, but neither of those swings did Hafner cross the plate.
It's Paul Emmel, the third base umpire tonight. Still a full count. Josh Beckett is 48 and 2 in his career when his team scores 5 runs or more. As we said, here's a 27-year-old right-hander who is getting better and better and better.
Boy, that's a powerful note, isn't it? 48 and 2 when his team scores 5 runs.
Another 3-2 pitch. Another strikeout for Beckett, number 6.
After the fastballs fought off by Hafner and the breaking balls that he didn't go around on, the changeup gets him.
The AT&T trivia question was, can you name the 3 players remaining on their team from the '99 Cleveland-Boston ALDS? And the top name is the one that you and I couldn't come up with, and probably fittingly, because here's a guy who gets overlooked too. Tim Wakefield, all he does is win games for Boston. Red Sox have a $4 million option on him next year. He had 17 wins during the regular season, is working his way back from a muscle strain behind his right shoulder. And he is one of the 3 remaining. We go to the bottom of the 4th inning here at Fenway, 5-1. Red Sox lead game 1. CC Sabathia back to the hill. Julio Lugo started the last inning with a double down the right field line. Takes a ball up and away. Lugo came around to score on the bases loaded walk to Manny Ramirez. 2-run double by Lowell and an RBI ground out by Veritek. And it's 5-1. Lugo hits it in the air to center for Grady Sizemore. 1 out. We had a chance to talk to Eric Wedge, the manager of the Indians, and talk to him about CC Sabathia being a little wild here at the start.
Well, he's working at it a little bit. He's just missing some pitches, getting behind, and they're putting some good at bats together, and especially in advantage counts. So what we need him to do now is just take control of the ball game and shut him down right there and give us a chance to come back.
We were just talking about how you have in essence rebuilt this team in some ways during the course of the season. This has been a miraculous run for you guys, and now you have everything pointed the right direction. Take tonight out of the equation a little bit. You have to be happy with the way things all came together at the end of the year.
Well, you know what, we still have a long way to go tonight, but I think our guys have been pretty consistent all year, and as you mentioned, we've kind of evolved as a ball club as the years worn on, and but they've done a great job of sticking together and going out there and playing it the way it's supposed to be played. So hopefully we'll still have something left to come back with them at tonight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know one thing, and it's probably cliche, but I know you believe your team's not going to roll over and play dead tonight down 5-1.
No, they've never done it, and they won't do it tonight.
All right, Eric, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Such an impressive guy, and somebody who is definitely in control down in that Indians dugout and clubhouse.
And connected to the Red Sox too. He signed with the Red Sox back in 1989. In fact, about a mile from here, Eric owns a batting cage here in Boston, and he went to check it out today. Check out his business.
Up and away to Pedroia, and the count's 3 balls and a strike. Made his major league debut with Boston in '91. Was a part of the Rockies draft in '92 and was a member of that team for a brief while in '93, their inaugural season. Got into 9 games, then came back to Boston. Right at Casey Blake, and the first 2 are retired here in the 4th inning.
Ought to give that batting cage a pop. It's called strike 1.
And with 2 out, nobody on, here's Youkilis. Little chilly. Feels like the mid-40s, temperature in the low 50s. It is windy.
Feels like New England in October.
With 2 out, Youkilis gets under it, flies it into right. Easy for Gutierrez. Back a few. The wind carry that ball a little deeper than Gutierrez expected. And a look from out in right field up above. We go to the 5th. 5-1 Boston. Back after this from your local Fox station. Certainly for Josh Beckett, he has dominated on the mound. He's allowed only the 1 hit, the home run by Hafner. He got a good play from Manny Ramirez behind him out in left. He struck out 6, walked nobody, and leads 5-1 here in the 5th inning. That's too high, and the count's 2-0. It's Garco now, then Johnny Peralta, Kenny Lofton. If anybody gets on, Gutierrez, the number 8 hitter, and then Casey Blake in the 9 spot. Indians have Blake hitting 9th with his 18 home runs and 78 RBIs, and that's how the inning begins. On a cold night, Garco gets hit by a pitch.
Garco hit 20 times during the season. That was an Indian club record. Beckett trying to come inside to Ryan. Hits him on the left arm. It also grazed the catcher's mask of Jason Varitek.
How did it sound? Got him above that protective padding he has on his left elbow. And for the first time tonight, the Indians put their leadoff man on. See what they can do with it. Johnny Peralta up. It's a chopper to Lugo. Pedroia in the middle, 6-4-3.
Easy play for Lugo and a nice turn by Pedroia.
It's been a carousel at shortstop for the Red Sox over the years with Orlando Cabrera. Then it was Edgar Renteria, Alex Gonzalez last year. They decided to go for more offense by signing Lugo. And that didn't exactly pan out. Lugo hit only .237, and Alex Gonzalez is about as good as there is defensively at short. Played for the Reds. Here's Kenny Lofton, 0 for 1. He's the guy who hit the ball that Manny Ramirez made the play on out in the left back in the second. Lofton has had an amazing career. He's played with 11 different organizations. Back around again with the Cleveland Indians. 6 different franchises in the postseason. And so he's certainly been a part of that success wherever he's been. .57 pitches so far tonight for Josh Beckett. Number 58 is strike 2 over the outside corner.
That's economical for a pitcher who has struck out 6 with 2 out in the 5th inning. Not a lot of pitches at all. He has made them count.
Line drive down the left field line's a hit. Could be extra bases. Lofton will dig into second easily as Ramirez gets it back in. A stand-up double for Kenny Lofton, who has 6 hits against the Yankees and now 1 for 2 so far in game 1 against the Red Sox.
And has hit the ball well both times. The play by Manny Ramirez, and now a double. Think about Kenny Lofton, his next stolen base in the postseason. He will break Ricky Henderson's postseason record. Of course, you have to talk about it like it's the postseason, and because division play started in 1969, and then the divisional series, the wild card, started in 1995. So there are many more games now than there were back prior to 1969.
Yeah, sure. And when you're starting to talk about totals, whether it's total postseason home runs or total postseason strikeouts or whatever it may be, there are more opportunities now than there were certainly prior to 1969, but even before 1995. And there are the numbers for Lofton with his 33 stolen bases. One ball, no strikes. 1-1. Gutierrez struck out his first time. Temperature has dropped 5 degrees since we started our night. 51 degrees now here in Boston, as the Indians try to string some hits together. A hit batsman, a double play ball followed. Double by Lofton, only the second Indian hit tonight. Gutierrez fooled, strike 2.
I think Franklin may see that pitch again. He looked so bad on the 1-1 curveball in the dirt. Fine play by Varitek.
He had a similar swing back in his first at bat in the 3rd.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have to set a hitter up. He's already set himself up. So you go right back to his weakness. That's the breaking ball.
And now Veritek's going to go out and talk. They've got a runner at second base for the first time tonight, so going through the signs, they want to make sure they're on the same page. Don't forget, Fox NFL Sunday. Frank Caliendo makes his picks. I don't know if you've heard, Tim, but Frank has a new show.
Really?
Yeah, it's on TBS in November. We haven't heard much about it, but the buzz is good. But we got him Sunday. You don't have to wait till November to see Frank. Breaking ball, and Beckett started to walk away. Does not get strike 3 called by Randy Marsh, the home plate umpire. So it's a 2-2 count. Die-hard Red Sox fan Stephen King. Not only is he reading a book, he's written 3 since he entered the ballpark tonight. Two-two pitch. Out in front of it was Gutierrez. The greatest single moment of that guy's life. Stephen thought the inning was over.
I believe that's Stephen King's son next to him. Fellow with the black beard who writes. He does not write under the name of King, I think.
2-2 pitch is fouled third base side. Joe Hill.
Joe Hill, I think that's right. Steve Horn, our director of information, right on the ball as always. A huge Stephen King fan is Steve.
Very much like Stephen King in some ways. 2-2 is the count on Gutierrez. Runner at second, 2 out. Beckett bounces it, and Veritek smothers it. Full count. So Gutierrez trying to get on any way he can. A couple of foul balls during this at bat, trying to battle. On deck is Casey Blake, as I mentioned, a number 9 hitter, but a guy with 18 home runs during the regular season.
Yeah, after the first pitch fastball for a ball, he's thrown Gutierrez 6 straight breaking balls. We'll see what he gets 3-2.
On the inside corner, another curveball. Seven strikeouts for Beckett. Heart of the order coming up for the Red Sox, who lead game 1, bottom of the 5th. 5-1. The ALCS on Fox is sponsored by Chevy and American Revolution. Across the Charles to Fenway Park, and now inside, bottom of the 5th inning. Heart of the order for the Red Sox: Ortiz, Ramirez, and Lowell. And a fastball from Sabathia in at 93. When we talked to Carl Willis, the pitching coach for the Indians, he said, yeah, CC can throw 96, 97, but we would prefer him, and he would prefer to ratchet it back a little bit, 91 to 94, and be a little bit more in control. We've seen him at 96, 97 a little tonight, which could be one of the explanations why he has been unusually wild, at least was so in the 3rd, with 3 walks, albeit 1 intentional, and a hit batsman. 0-2 pitch. Ortiz takes ball 1. There is Carl Willis, pitching coach, 5th year with the Indians, part of the 91 world champion Twins. Good year out of the bullpen that year, 8-3 with an ERA under 3, 2.63. Earlier today, David Ortiz was presented with the Sharp American League Player of the Month award for September, and that was bad news for the other teams in the AL postseason picture, because that meant that the DH for the Red Sox, after a good September, is heating up. bothered by a bad right knee at different times this season.
Cortisone shot in that knee about 10 days ago. Feeling much better, and his performance has been much better.
As impressed as I've been with the contact that the Red Sox hitters have made, it's been their selection at the plate and their patience, whether it's been Ortiz in this at bat or certainly Manny Ramirez with that bases loaded walk after falling behind 0-2, and there's another example of it. A leadoff walk, and that is 4 walks in this game from CC Sabathia. Our Liberty Mutual in-game box score for the Red Sox. Euclid with a hit, 2 runs scored. Ortiz 1 for 1, hit by a pitch. Now he's drawn a walk. Ramirez, same type night, a couple of RBIs. Lowell with a 2-run double, and Veritek an RBI ground out. The number 9 man Lugo with a leadoff double in a 4-run third. Here's Ramirez. Manny an RBI single in the first inning to tie it, and then his bases loaded walk put the Boston Red Sox on top in the third. Ball 1 outside. Certainly the experience of the Red Sox lineup and the hitters like Ortiz and Ramirez can pay off in at bats for Terry Francona. They're not too anxious. They're willing to let the game come to them and then hit lasers like Ramirez has done twice. That one up the middle, and he's on base for the 3rd time this evening. Here's the night for Manny Ramirez. An RBI game tying single in the first inning. The little leap and a catch in the second. The bases loaded walk, fighting back from an 0-2 count to make it 2-1 Boston. And now this base hit to set up 2 on with nobody out in the 5th.
That's a remarkable thing about Ramirez, is how he can stay controlled and yet still have the power that he has. Controlled power. That's something that every hitter would like to bottle. Unfortunately, very few have it.
Now Mike Lowell. You look at the Red Sox and where they are. From 03 to 05, it was a Boston attack that led the league in runs scored. Last season they dipped down and fell behind the Yankees. This year they trailed the Yankees by about half a run a game, which doesn't sound like much, but it's on their radar. And with Lowell becoming a free agent at the end of the year, and potentially Alex Rodriguez opting out of his deal and becoming a free agent, the kind of payroll that they have here in Boston, the Red Sox certainly a possibility this time around for Rodriguez if that situation comes to pass. That's up and away. The count's 3-0. Ken Rosenthal, what are the chances that Alex Rodriguez is with the Boston Red Sox next season?
I don't think they're very good, Joe. I believe that he's going to re-sign with the Yankees. Obviously, Scott Boras, his agent, prefers his clients to have their values determined by the open market. But I think the Yankees need him badly, and I think ultimately that's what's going to happen. He goes back there.
3 balls and a strike. Well, if you want to get some sort of a deal where you're paying somebody $30 million a year, there have to be other bidders. And the Red Sox, the Angels, there are only a few teams that can even afford Alex Rodriguez. That's ball 4 to load him up. Might be able to throw the Cubs into that mix, although their ownership situation is in flux. And with the Angels and Cubs both being eliminated in the first round of the playoffs, that could heighten their desire for a player like Rodriguez. And here comes Carl Willis with Sabathia in another jam. Bases loaded behind him, nobody out. We look ahead to game 2 First of all, for the Rockies and Diamondbacks tonight at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on TBS. And then game 2 of our series tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, an hour later tomorrow night. And a matchup of Curt Schilling and the dominant Fausto Carmona. How good was Fausto Carmona in that game 2 start against the Yankees in the division series?
He was terrific. He throws that heavy sinker, 96-mile-an-hour sinker. And you talked about Sabathia, that Carl Willis telling us that he would prefer him being in that 92, 93-mile-an-hour range. How many guys throw a 96-mile-an-hour sinker in the game? No one but Carmona.
Here's Kelty, who is in the lineup for what he's done in the past against Sabathia tonight. He struck out, been intentionally walked. Nobody out in the inning. And ball 1 outside. 5 walks tonight. 6 in 5 innings of game 1 against the Yankees in the division series for Sabathia. Two and 0. Ortiz at third, Ramirez at second, Lowell at first with nobody out. Into right center field. 1 run will score. Ortiz was going back to the bag. Manny Ramirez is right up Big Papi's back. 2-run score. And they've got Lowell hung up between second and third. He'll be tagged out for the first out of the inning. Ortiz must not have seen that ball real well off the bat. He was going back to the bag to at the very least make sure, and Ramirez was bearing down on him coming to third base.
Well, Gutierrez, actually Ortiz did the right thing. He went back to the bag because you're trying to make sure the ball was deep enough, but Gutierrez was playing so deep. Manny actually made the mistake. It didn't turn out that way for the Red Sox because both runners scored. But that perhaps could have been the reason that Mike Lowell was tagged out between second and third. But a big hit by Kelty.
2 RBIs, a 7-1 lead, and the Red Sox have knocked out the 19-game winner Sabathia here in the 5th. The teammates for CC Sabathia came up with 12 runs against a combination of Chin-Ming Wong and the bullpen for the Yankees in game 1 of the division series. So he went 5 innings and got the victory, a 12-3 win tonight, matched up against Josh Beckett. Sabathia is knocked out in the bottom of the 5th, leaves trailing 7-1, and leaves with Kelty at second, 1 out. Jensen Lewis on the mound, pitching to Varitek. Counts 2-0. Jensen Lewis, part of a very good combination of the bullpen for Eric Wedge. Lewis, Perez, and Betancourt all setting up their closer, Joe Borowski, who led the AL with 45 saves during the regular season. Jensen Lewis just 23 years old, and Varitek fouls it straight back 2-1. Varitek 0 for 2 with a strikeout, a ground out, and RBI. Coco Crisp on deck. Hard hit right center field, down for a base hit. Kelty will score easily. Varitek digging hard for a double, and he has it.
Seems like every time you look up this evening, the Red Sox have been hitting in favorable counts. Kelty hit a 2-0 fastball from Sabathia after 2 walks, and now Varitek with 2 balls and 1 strike And the reason for that is obviously it's easier to hit when you can predict what's coming. Fall behind, you have to throw the strike. And Veritek drives in the 8th run of this ball game.
Now Chris takes a fastball for a strike inside corner. Coco is 0 for 2.
I think what you're seeing tonight, Joe, is why it's so important to stay ahead in the count. Regardless of how hard you throw, you fall behind. Big league hitters can look for a certain pitch. They speed up the bat head, and the chances of them hitting it hard is great. Clam Chowda, all right.
Closes the book on Sabathia, that hit by Veritek. 4 1/3 innings pitched, 8 runs on 7 hits, 5 walks, one of them intentional, 3 strikeouts, all coming in the second. And a hit batsman. It's out behind second base. Sizemore coming in, 2 out. Crisp is 0 for 3, and the number 9 man Lugo will step to the plate. Julio started the 4-run 3rd inning with a double down the right field line. So in case you're wondering where this ranks for Sabathia, the last time he allowed 8 earned runs in a game was June 21st of 2006 against the Cubs. He allowed 9 that day, which tied a career high. Strike 1 on Lugo. Time called at the plate, granted to Julio Lugo. A 1 from Jensen Lewis is on the inside corner, strike 2. Oh, 2 pitch from Lewis. Lugo stays alive. $16 runs allowed in those games during the division series against the Yankees. 8 tonight to the Red Sox. It's down and away, ball 1.
Dave Magadan, the hitting instructor of the Red Sox, has to be just glowing this evening with these at bats these Red Sox hitters are having off Cleveland pitchers. There's Dave. Fine hitter in his major league career with the New York Mets. Started out with the Mets.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Yeah, it's the approach.
Yeah,
it's not just the hits and guys going the other way, which they've done impressively, or guys going back up the middle. But the approach from the moment they get into the batter's box to get the advantage or fight their way back to an advantage. 2-2 pitch. Full count. He's a guy known for his patience. Kevin Youkilis. Former Houston Astro, Tampa Bay Devil Ray, LA Dodger. Lugo stays up there and the count stays full. Shoji Youkilis, he is going into the University of Cincinnati Athletic Hall of Fame November 1st. Played at Cincinnati 98 to 2001, 3-time all-conference player, hit .366 during his career there. The problem is Game 7 of the World Series is scheduled for November 1st. If it would get there, fly ball into right center field, coming to get it, Gutierrez, and the inning is over, but not before the Red Sox add 3 more to their lead, and they just keep on scoring, keep on hitting. They've knocked out CC Sabathia in the 5th. 8-1 Boston after 5 in Game 1. The ALCS on Fox is sponsored by Verizon Wireless. Catch Fox Sports action on your phone with VCast from Verizon Wireless. Sixth inning now, and it's Cleveland still trying to figure out Josh Beckett. Casey Blake first up, bounced out to third in his only at bat. Only 2 hits tonight for the Indians. A home run by Hafner in the first. A 2-out double by Lofton in the 5th. 7 strikeouts for Beckett, and that is a rocket down the left field line. It is fair. Casey Blake will dig for 2 and make it easily with a leadoff double here in the 6th inning.
Not every pitch that is hit hard was a hanger. They hit big league hitters hit good pitches hard too, but that was a hanger. That's the worst pitch Josh Beckett has thrown tonight. You could see the curveball spinning up there and staying up there, and Blake jumps on it.
So the 3rd extra base hit tonight for the Indians. It's a leadoff double, and back to the top of the order, Grady Sizemore. Up there hacking. He struck out in each of his first 2 at bats, something that the Indians live with. A guy who was their leadoff hitter. They moved him around a little this season, but at the end of the year really settled on him back in their leadoff spot. He struck out 155 times, which is a lot for a leadoff man and a guy who can run. Want him to put the bat on the ball and use his legs. 0-2. Tom Masney is getting loose for the Indians in their pen after Jensen Lewis finished off the bottom of the 5th. Double by Casey Blake takes his lead, and that moving fastball that jumped at the plate, up and away, ball 1. Indians have won 5 AL pennants: 1920, 1948, 54, 1995, and 1997. They last won a World Series back in 1948 when they beat the Boston Braves. That's up and in. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Sizemore. Francona and the Red Sox last won it in 2004.
After trailing the Yankees 3-0, they won 8 straight. 4 against New York, 4 against St. Louis.
To the left side for Lowell, gets the high hop and takes care of out number 1. 1-on-1 out here in the 6th inning. The game summary brought to you by Verizon. The home run with 2 out in the first by Hafner. It's been all Red Sox ever since. Lowell with a 2-run double. Veritek an RBI ground out. Kelty with a 2-run single made it 7-1, and then Veritek in the bottom of the 5th knocked home Kelty to make it 8-1 Boston behind Josh Beckett. Here is Asdrubal Cabrera, plucked out of the Seattle Mariners organization, their minor leagues, and a guy who really has come up as a shortstop. Letting him play second base. He's done a great job, and he has just added to the run total for the Indians with a base hit up the middle. Cabrera makes it an 8-2 Boston lead here in the 6th. They really love what they're getting out of Asdrubal Cabrera, who has not been fazed by anything, including hitting in the #2 spot in this lineup.
A fastball out over the plate, and Cabrera takes Beckett right back up the middle. Good hitting by Cabrera.
Now it's the DH Travis Hafner who is homered. He could make this a lot more interesting with one swing of the bat.
That almost looked like a slide step. In fact, I'm surprised that Kevin Youkilis is holding Cabrera on at first base. The Red Sox have a 6-run lead. It's doubtful Cabrera will be running, particularly with Hafner at the plate.
The opposite way, Ramirez back on the track. Cabrera took off and has to scamper back to first base.
Almost forgot how many outs there were. I think Cabrera thought there were 2 outs, wandering into second base. And I think he heard the crowd. You can see it right here. It looks like he's either that or he misgauged whether Ramirez could get to it or not. Nonetheless, back in time.
Could be one of those balls that was hit into left, and you've got obviously the short left field area. You've got the green monster out there, and Cabrera trying to read where maybe it's going to hit up against the green monster, and it died out on the track.
It could be that he thought it was 2 outs, and seeing Manny field the ball, he saw how many outs there were. It was right in line with his line of sight going into second base.
Luis Rivera, the first base coach, was screaming to him to get back to the bag, which is where he is with 2 out. For Victor Martinez. Victor has struck out, grounded out. Hit 25 home runs during the regular season, drove home 114, and that gets past Varitek. Down to second is Cabrera.
And Jason left the trap door open and squirted. Sometimes you don't get the glove down far enough, then you come up too soon. That's a ball that Jason, we've seen him in this game field very, very well 3 or 4 times, but he didn't stay down on that one.
It's a wild pitch. Sends Cabrera down to second, and with 2 out, a 1-1 count on Martinez. Left side, Lowell backs up a step, gathers and throws, and that'll do it for Cleveland in the 6th. They get an RBI from Cabrera, and they make it an 8-2 game as we go to the bottom of the 6th here at Fenway. Back at Fenway Park, Jensen Lewis back to the hill, and the first pitch to Pedroia is up and in, ball 1.
Ball tailing inside to Pedroia, who appeared to be taking it all the way, and Justin became a little too laxed up there, had to scurry out of the way.
Dustin has lined out, dropped down a sacrifice, and grounded out. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jensen Lewis is a guy who has deceptive velocity. Not a big guy, kind of an interesting delivery, a lot of arms and legs, making a lot of movement, and then he sneaks the fastball in on these hitters like he did on Pedroia for the swinging strike.
Yeah, Carl Willis telling us before the game that he was very impressed with how low he gets. Really explodes toward the hitter.
Pedroia with a base hit into right field, his first hit of the night.
Here's that motion we were talking about, a lot of arms and legs. throws a lot harder than a lot of hitters think. But Dustin Pedroia, what a story he has been for the Red Sox all year. You talked about his horrible April earlier, Joe. I mean, what he has done. 317 average. Highest average by a second baseman being a rookie since 1900. Actually tied with Jim Vioxx, who had 317 in 1913. That's impressive.
His on-base percentage is the best for a Boston rookie since Fred Lynn's great season in 1975 when he was Rookie of the Year and MVP.
One of the great years in the history of the game, not only for a player, but a guy to be as young as Fred Lynn was in 1975. What a talent. The year the Red Sox played that dramatic World Series against the Cincinnati Reds, the Carlton Fisk home run that we've seen hundreds of times off Pat Darcy to win Game 6, and then the Joe Morgan hit off Jim Burton in the 9th inning of Game 7 as the Big Red Machine beat the Red Sox. But what a series that was.
2 balls and a strike. Euclid dumps one into right field. That's another hit. Pedroia put his head down and went first to third easily. First and third, nobody out. And let's bring this up just to have something to talk about right now. If you've got Beckett, who has been dominant again here tonight, he's up to 80 pitches. At some point in what is now an 8-2 game, who knows how big the lead will get, you pull the quarterback. And I know that he is talking about Francona leaning more toward letting Beckett go, but there's a possibility, if you wanted to, of bringing Beckett back on short rest for Game 4 because of an off day in Cleveland, and then regular rest on Game 7 if they wanted to go that way. We'll talk about that when we come back. Aaron Fultz takes over for Cleveland. David Ortiz, Big Papi, coming up for Boston here in the 6th. Folks, immediately following tonight's game, log on to foxsports.com or MLB.com for a live extended postgame webcast. Fultz comes in and Ortiz goes after his first pitch, strike 1. I'll have player interviews, press conferences, highlights, analysis, much more. And join Chris Myers, Harold Reynolds, Jim Leyritz, and Ken Rosenthal immediately following this game. And then you can join them live early for pregame webcast, including live batting practice starting an hour and a half before game time every game. For more info, log on to foxsports.com or MLB.com. Fultz has a 1-ball 1-strike count on Ortiz, who has been on base all 3 times tonight. First and third, nobody out. Hits by Pedroia and Euclid. Fultz trying to hold the Red Sox right here as they lead by 6. That is ball 2, 2-1.
Yeah, in on the right side, and holding his position is Casey Blake on the left side. So if Ortiz hits it hard to Blake, he'll elect to turn the double play, look home first, then turn the double play. And they'll go home on a ball hit to the right side. Concerning your point about Josh Beckett, Tim Wakefield has already been announced as the Game 4 starter. And the way the game's structured today, Joe, I think it's I think it's a point worth considering 15 years ago. But in today's game, I just do not think that pitching coaches, organizations, managers want to take that chance and bring a pitcher back, particularly one of Beckett's stature, back with just 3 days rest.
Well, it worked in 2003 for Beckett on 3 days rest. He pitched and won in a shutout, Game 6 at Yankee Stadium on 3 days rest. Runner goes on ball 4 and the bases are loaded. The only reason why I bring it up is because, unlike other years, there's an off day while we're in Cleveland between games 4 and 5. And if you were to bring Game 1 starter, whether it's Sabathia or Beckett back,
right,
you could then have them on regular rest as opposed to short rest if there's a Game 7.
Now, When Beckett did it back in 2003, he had Jack McKeon as the manager, and Jack was old school, and Jack really didn't care what people thought. But there's a schedule Joe was talking about. You can see right in there, it's not Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but Tuesday and Thursday separates game 4 and 5.
For the 4th time tonight, the Red Sox have the bases loaded. And again, it's Manny Ramirez at the plate. We mentioned all the grand slams. Number 2 to Gehrig. 21. Lou Gehrig with 23. None in the postseason for Manny Ramirez, who walked with the bases loaded back in the 3rd inning. 0-1 pitch. Well, it's interesting that as we have that discussion now, Mike Timlin is up for the Red Sox out in their bullpen, and that doesn't guarantee anything or lead you into them bringing back Beckett on short rest. But with this game where it is right now, 8-2, a chance for more, bases loaded, nobody out, even if they don't bring him back, they can limit the work.
That's true.
At the end of a long season for Beckett.
Right.
Pedroia, Euclid, and Ortiz are the runners. Ball 1 down and in. And by the way, you're right about Jack McKeon. He didn't really care.
He didn't care.
He didn't care what anybody had to say, and he was going to do it his way, and his way worked.
Yeah. How about a Manny Delight right here? Infield in against a left-handed pitcher, regardless of whether he's behind in the count.
1-2 pitch, 2-2.
One of the most, along with all of his other abilities and gifts as an offensive player, he is a tenacious 2-strike hitter, one of the best 2-strike hitters in the game, and has been for 12 years.
Aaron Fultz in relief of Jensen Lewis. 2-2 pitch. Full count. For the 2nd time in this game, the count was 0-2 with the bases loaded on Manny Ramirez, and he worked a walk to force home a run and make it 9-2 here in the 6th inning. Eric Wedge is coming out, and so is Aaron Fultz. Masny coming in for Cleveland here in the 6th inning.
Mike Lowell is up with the bases loaded here at Fenway Park. He was telling me before the game this is why he is in this situation. When you follow guys like Ortiz and Manny, he should drive in runs. But he was more excited talking about Josh Beckett, a teammate of his, riding his coattails, as he said, in 2003 when they won a World Series with the Marlins. He said Beckett is a more mature pitcher now. He has the good stuff just like he had then. Now he knows what he wants to do with it. He's a guy who will rewrite history. And Joe, as long as it isn't rewritten like a Stephen King novel, they'll be all right.
I knew that was coming. So Lowell will have this bases loaded opportunity. Thank you, Chris. Masny takes over for the Indians. Lowell tonight with 2 RBIs. After the first pitch, strike 1. It was that trade that brought Lowell here that Chris was talking about with Beckett. Lowell had hit .236 in 2005, had only 8 home runs, 58 RBIs. Comes here with Beckett as kind of a, well, you take our guy with a big salary, and he ends up 20 homers, 80 RBIs last year, 21 home runs, 120 RBIs this year, and headed potentially into free agency. Into center field, and a catch by Sizemore. Tagging coming to the plate is Euclid to score and make it 10-2. Sac fly by Lowell and his 3rd RBI of the night.
It's truly remarkable that Mike Lowell drove in 121 runs during the season. That's the most ever by a Red Sox third baseman. And the reason it's remarkable is because usually when Lowell, batting 5th, is hitting, there's nobody left. Ortiz drove in 117. Manny Ramirez drove in 88, missed 24 games. So I think Mike's just happy to have some guys on base to drive in tonight.
Here's J.D. Drew getting a chance to bat tonight. He did not start. Kelty did. Bobby, while he was in there, 1 for 2 with a 2-run single, a run scored, plus an intentional walk. And Drew, who drove in 100 runs last year for the Dodgers, drove home only 64 for the Red Sox, and this is first year in Boston. Does, however, have 18 RBIs his last 18 games. 1-0 pitch. Timlin had been up earlier. It's been a 17-minute half inning, and now Timlin has taken a seat out of the bullpen for Boston. Veritek is on deck, 2 on with only 1 out. This is typically Drew's spot. And according to Francona, an important spot, the number 6 position behind the right-handed hitting Lowell in front of the switch hitting Jason Veritek. Jonathan Papelbon has been out there trying to entertain himself and loosen up on a cold night in the bullpen. Drew with a late cut. Strike 2.
Never has J.D. Drew been as interested in the postseason as this year. Not only is he in it, but his youngest brother, Stephen Drew, is the shortstop for the Arizona Diamondbacks. What a young player he is.
His other brother, Tim Drew, was part of the deal that sent Grady Sizemore from the Montreal Expos to the Cleveland Indians in the Bartolo Colon deal. What a trade that was for Cleveland. Full count now on J.D. Drew.
Yeah, that deal was made about 6 months after Mark Shapiro became the general manager for the Indians.
Drew skies one into center field. That's out number 2. Our WebMD injury report as we play here in the 6th inning of game 1, a 10-2 Boston lead. We look at Tim Wakefield, the shoulder. He's had inflammation behind his right shoulder. He was not on the active roster for the division series against the Angels. He has been added in place of Kevin Cash, a 3rd catcher, and is slated at this point to start game 4 of this ALCS in Cleveland. There's Tim Wakefield, who has had a great run here with Boston. 2 on, 2 out. Veritek at the plate. Strike 1. Ortiz and Ramirez aboard. Masny trying to hold it right here. Breaking ball in for a strike. 2 runs in this inning. And both runs are charged to Jensen Lewis, who goes 2/3 of an inning, 2 runs on 3 hits. No strikeouts or walks.
Once again, this has been an impressive night of at-bats by the Boston Red Sox. not only because they've scored 10 runs, but as we said earlier, the quality of the at-bats. Feisty two-strike hitting and working counts. 10 runs on 10 hits, and we're only in the 6th inning.
One-two pitch. Veritek strikes out, and the inning is over, but the Red Sox add 2 more and lead 10-2 as we go to the 7th inning of game number 1 here in Boston. Back we will come to Fenway after a break from your local Fox station. For Josh Beckett, and Josh ends up going 6 innings, allowing 2 runs, 4 hits, struck out 7, walked none. Home run allowed, a wild pitch. Through 80 pitches, J.D. Drew takes over in right. And Mike Timlin is now in the middle of the action on the mound as we start the 7th inning. 10-2 Boston leading game 1. It will be Ryan Garko, Johnny Peralta, and Kenny Lofton here in the 7th for Cleveland.
Again, it would be tempting to bring Beckett back in Cleveland in game 4, but I just do not think that Terry Francona is going to do that.
Javier Lopez, the side-arming left-hander, is getting loose. I'll tell you another possibility, and that's all we're throwing out at this point.
Sure.
Are obviously possibilities. But Sabathia is a possibility coming back after 80 pitches. Again, because of an off day between games 4 and 5. If you go short rest, which Eric Wedge has not wanted to do and didn't do it in the division series with Sabathia at Yankee Stadium, he went with Paul Byrd, and that paid off. But with that off day in there, it would be short rest for the second start of the series, but if necessary, regular rest for a game 7 possibility for the game 1 starters here tonight if they were to come back. That's in the dirt, and the count 2 balls and a strike. I know Ken Rosenthal is an interested listener. What are your thoughts on this topic, Ken?
First on Sabathia, Joe, he has pitched on 3 days rest only once in his career, the final start of his rookie season. I think they're going to want Paul Byrd to pitch game 4 just as they did in the division series. With Beckett, it doesn't just involve him. Curt Schilling and Daisuke Matsuzaka follow him in the rotation, and if they stick with a 4-man rotation, pitch Beckett in game 5, Schilling and Matsuzaka can pitch 6 and 7 on extra rest rather than normal rest. That's an important consideration for the Red Sox right now. Schilling turns 41 next month. Matsuzaka, first year coming over from Japan. They want those guys as rested as possible.
This one is into left, and the wind plays with it. It drops in between Lugo and Manny Ramirez, and the inning starts with a wind-aided hit for Ryan Garko. So Garko is on base for the 2nd straight time, hit by a pitch back in the 5th, and then this pop-up that Manny Ramirez was going to let Lugo handle, and Lugo didn't get anywhere near it.
Well, we talked about the wind, in fairness to everybody involved, in the 1st inning when Travis Hafner hit the home run. That ball with enough hang time should be caught, but an adventurous try by Lugo.
So now it's Peralta, who is 0 for 2, bounced into a double play. On the other side of that, Ken and/or Tim, Schilling had 12 days leading into that last start that he had out in California in the series clincher game 3 against the Angels. And as far as Sabathia's history, that's one thing, but this is the ALCS. I mean, this is a different story than whatever CC Sabathia has done in the past. This is a 27-year-old left-hander who's at the front end of your rotation, who pitched 241 innings. I mean, this to me is in a different category than where CC Sabathia has been pitching on 3 days rest in the past.
I think if it were the World Series, it would be a different situation than if it were the ALCS and whether a team is up or not.
That's in the dirt, 2 balls and a strike.
I think if the Red Sox are up 2-1, there's no question that Wakefield's going to start game 4. In fact, in my mind, there is no question that Terry Francona is going to start Tim Wakefield in Game 4.
Joe, I do think that if the Indians need to change the series, then it might become a different issue. If they're down 2-1 or 3-0. But with Sabathia, keep in mind, as you said, he's up around 250 innings, and that's a lot. That's his career high by a good bit.
2 balls and a strike on Peralta. 1 on, nobody out, and Peralta out in front of it fouls it. 2-2. Yeah, I think the biggest part of the discussion is the last bit of it that was just added, and that is, where is the series?
Right.
As far as who's won how many games, and is Cleveland up or down in the series? The Red Sox up or down in the series? Is it a desperate time? And can you squeeze an extra start out of one of your frontline guys if you need to?
I think you're making an old-time argument out of a modern-day problem. A problem for me, and I guess being a traditionalist and seeing what could happen when pitchers pitch on 3 days rest and 2 days rest in the postseason. I'm, really all for your argument, I must admit, but it just is not done anymore.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and I don't know that I'm arguing so much as I'm just throwing it out there.
Sure, whatever it is, discussion or.
Yeah. 2-2, and reaching for it, lining it into left is Peralta. 1 on, 1 out. This week, Fox NFL Sunday returns. The Redskins take on the Packers. 2 teams that are off to great starts. Jason Campbell, quarterback of the Redskins, and you know who quarterbacks the Green Bay Packers. What a start Brett Favre is off to. The Panthers battle the Cardinals. Arizona off to a good start in the NFC West, or other regional action. Coverage begins with a Built Ford Tough Fox NFL Sunday pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, in high def only on Fox. Frank Caliendo will be a part of Fox NFL Sunday this very Sunday. Check local listings for the games and start time in your area. 1 on, 1 out. Kenny Lofton at the plate. Hit the ball hard twice, once for an out, once for a double. And that's strike 1.
I would imagine Brett Favre and a lot of Green Bay Packer fans are very happy that he didn't retire.
I guarantee you. And Favre, by the way, would come back on 3 days rest. 0-1 pitch. On the outside corner, 0-2. One on, 1 out. That wind-aided hit to start the inning, then Peralta flied out. 0-2 pitch. Ball 1. Lofton now, Gutierrez on deck. 2 19-game winners in games 1 and 2 for Cleveland, and they're going to turn to Fausto Carmona, a guy they tried to turn into a closer last year. That didn't work. Back to the minor leagues. And of all the starters in the first round, his work against the Yankees with his stuff was, in my mind, the most attention-grabbing, as Lofton fouls it straight back.
A guy who went 1-10 last year and then won 19 games this year, 19-8, and certainly should be considered for the Cy Young Award. I think it, however, will go to Sabathia or Josh Beckett.
Timlin's 1-2. Lofton strikes out. 2 away in the inning. And that's the 8th strikeout tonight of the Cleveland hitter.
Ball out of the strike zone, and Lofton does not look good. You rarely see a guy with a great balanced swing like Lofton look that poorly on a 2-strike pitch.
So Kenny back to the dugout, and Franklin Gutierrez steps in. 2 at bats, 2 strikeouts for Gutierrez. Good fastball in for a strike from Mike Timlin, who'll be a free agent next year. Gutierrez just a .223 hitter on the road this season, hit over 300 at Jacobs Field. That's another swing and a miss by Gutierrez, who is in danger of striking out for the 3rd time tonight.
Good slider from Mike Timlin. Puts Gutierrez in the hole.
One on, 2 out. Gutierrez slowly hit to short. The force 6-4, and we go into the bottom of the 7th. Time to stretch at Fenway Park. Red Sox lead it 10-2. The old State House here in Boston, and your Nissan game summary. Part of the order for the Red Sox, the 2 through 5 hitters have reached base in 13 of 16 plate appearances and scored 7 runs. And for Beckett, 80 pitches tonight, 6 innings, 2 runs on 4 hits, 7 strikeouts and no walks. And Masney, who finished off the 6th inning, will come back out and work to Crisp, Lugo and Pedroia. Coco Crisp walks in 0 for 3. A strikeout, a ground out, a fly out. And he'll start the bottom of the 7th inning. 10-2 Boston out in front. In a matchup that most thought would be a pitcher's duel. That was one-sided, that part of it. With Beckett out dueling CC Sabathia, who was knocked out in the 5th. Sabathia 4 1/3 innings, 8 earned runs on 7 hits. An 85 pitch night. So Mike Timlin has his scoreless inning under his belt. Right now, no action for the Red Sox in their bullpen, and nothing doing for the Indians in their pen. As we go through this series, if you haven't paid attention to Cleveland's bullpen to this point, see Rafael Perez, a left-hander, Rafael Betancourt, the right-hander. We've already seen Jensen Lewis, and the closer is Borowski. A combo of Lewis, Perez, and Betancourt. 1 run, 10 innings pitched, 13 strikeouts against the Yankees. A big part of the attack and the success of the Indians this season, and certainly in the divisional series against New York. Here's a 1-1 to Crisp. 2-1. Coco now 2 for 13 so far this postseason. Left side, base hit to the right of Casey Blake, down the line, and an easy double for Coco Crisp.
Hit number 11 for the Red Sox on the night, and the first for Coco Crisp. Former Indian. It's really remarkable, Joe, the overlapping. You talked about Perry Francona earlier, being an advisor to Mark Shapiro in 2002. He also played for the Indians in 1988. Coco Crisp played for the Indians, now with the Red Sox. John Farrell, the pitching coach, was the director of player procurement for the last 4 years with the Indians.
Eric Wedge, the manager of the Indians, as we said, made his debut with the Red Sox. 1991. There's a strike to Lugo. So quite a few connections and a lot of respect between these two sides. A lot of text messaging going on after the first round of the playoffs. Oh, and 1 is the count. Crisp at second, nobody out. Lugo takes ball 1.
One of the more interesting connections, you talked about him earlier, Rafael Betancourt, who signed with the Red Sox as a shortstop in 1994. Played shortstop for 3 years. Decided that he wanted to be a pitcher. encouraged by the Red Sox. Elbow problems in the late 90s, early 2000s, released by the Red Sox. He set out for the 2002 year because his elbow was hurting, and for good reason. It was broken. And now here he is, one of the top setup men in the major leagues 5 years later. Has 6 screws in his right elbow.
Lugo waits for a 2-1 pitch. And a little flare out behind second. Cabrera out to get it. 1 on, 1 out. Again, TBS coming up shortly. They will have game 2 tonight. The Rockies and the Diamondbacks. Jimenez against Doug Davis. That's tonight at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. And then our game 2 tomorrow night with the Indians and Red Sox in a matchup of Curt Schilling for Boston against Fausto Carmona for Cleveland. One on, 1 out. Dustin Pedroia coming up. 1 hit, 3 at bats plus a sacrifice. Strike 1. On the outside corner. 0-2. Pedroia has 3 hits in this postseason. Talked to Terry Francona before the game. He said, yeah, he got off to that slow start, and he was kind of willing to let some of the veterans in this clubhouse give him trouble relentlessly without giving much back. He said he still gets trouble relentlessly, but he's a little more willing to stick up for himself, and that can be an intimidating place, that Red Sox clubhouse, with the kind of players that they have and their guys that have been around, seen everything from Schilling to Ortiz to Manny Ramirez, Mike Lowell, Jason Varitek. 1-2 pitch. Strikeout for Masny, and out number 2 of the inning. Boys and Girls Clubs of America is the official charity of Major League Baseball. Together they create a positive place for kids. This has certainly been a positive place here tonight for any kid in attendance at Fenway Park rooting for Boston. And I know you and I are excited, Tim, to get back to Cleveland and get to Jacobs Field, where we were quite regularly back from the mid-90s on, but it's been a while.
Yep, since 1999, when the Red Sox came from behind, down no games to 2 in the division series, won 3 in a row. They scored 23 runs in their 4th game. And then that famous, in Boston at least, famous 5th game, when Pedro Martinez came off the disabled list, put on his spikes, and worked a remarkable end of the game for the Sox.
Euclid flies out to center. The leadoff double wasted. 8th inning of game 1 rolls in. 10-2 Red Sox on top. Javier Lopez, the side-arming left-hander, comes in, and the first pitch is driven down the left field line foul by Casey Blake. Lopez's numbers during the regular season actually tougher against right-handed hitters, which is hard to figure. Right-handers hit 176 against him, lefties 293. Casey Blake, then Grady Sizemore, then Cabrera. Fastball in for strike 2. Scoreless inning for Timlin, 1 hit allowed with a strikeout.
Those are some revealing numbers and surprising from both the right-handed hitter's standpoint. and a left-handed hitter's standpoint. There it is, right-handers only 176. They see the ball better against Lopez. And the left-handers are bailing against him because he drops down. So both numbers are surprising.
Still 1-2 on Casey Blake. As we look ahead to tomorrow night in Game 2, Carmona so good against the Yankees in Game 2 of the division series against Schilling, who was a winner against the Angels in their clincher, and is 9-2 in his career during the postseason. Has been an LCS MVP and has been a co-MVP, was so in the 2001 World Series, splitting that with Randy Johnson. And there is the matchup and what these two pitchers did in their first starts this postseason. Schilling's a little different pitcher this time around.
Doesn't throw as hard, a lot more change-ups, good splitter that he used very effectively against the Angels. We talked earlier about Josh Beckett working his way into being a big game pitcher. Well, Curt Schilling has been a big game pitcher for a long time.
Manny Del Carmen on the left, Joe Borowski on the right. Red Sox figure to come up for the final time tonight in the bottom of this inning, and obviously Eric Wedge wants to get some work for Borowski, who was on the mound when the Indians clinched at Yankee Stadium. And talking to Carl Willis, he said, "I was so happy for Paul Byrd, who was good enough in 5+ innings in Game 4, and then to see Borowski on the mound at the end of the night was nice to see for Cleveland." Here's another extra base hit for Casey Blake, his second double of the night. And that's how the 8th inning begins, with a double off the bat of Casey Blake off of Javier Lopez.
Like a hanging fastball, and Casey with a second consecutive double. He doubled and scored a run in the 6th inning.
So Blake is on, and Sizemore, lefty on lefty, will deal with Lopez. As Drupal Cabrera next, then Hafner the DH. 10-2 Boston. Up and away, ball 1. Sizemore tonight has struck out twice and grounded out. Down and away, 2-0. Two teams that won 96 games during the regular season. For Cleveland, their 7th Central Division title, their first since 2001. That's down the middle, and strike 1. Lost in the division series back in 2001 to Seattle. Okay to smile.
Sure.
On national TV, that cute kid. And it's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lopez trying to get the lefty. Realize it's been a layoff for these Red Sox, and a little bit of one for Cleveland. Trying to get some work for guys out of the bullpen with this lopsided score. Sizemore keeps it 2-2.
And Joe, you said both teams winning 96 games, obviously true this year. And the reason that the Red Sox have home field advantage because they won the season series against the Cleveland Indians. That's why it's starting. The ALCS is starting here in Boston and not Cleveland. Home crowd happy tonight.
2-2 pitch is lifted down the right field line into the corner, where J.D. Drew is there to make the catch. Tagging going to third is Blake with 1 out.
That's a good job on a very tough play. against the wall. And we mentioned the wind. I think that wind pushed it back fair, really. J.D. Drew stays with it and makes a fine play. Ball could have been out had he not caught the ball. Close.
Then got some coffee down his neck. That's going to have to be washed for tomorrow.
Yes. Spot remover.
Runner at third, one out. Javier Lopez is working to Cabrera. This guy should develop more power as time goes on, and they're not shocked but awfully pleased for somebody who was a shortstop in the minor leagues to come up. They worked him just very little during spring training at second base. Peralta has that position anchored at the big league level, so when they looked for a changeup at second base, Cabrera got the nod, and he's been outstanding. 2 quick strikes on Asdrubal. We've been promoting that Rockies Diamondbacks game. It is unbelievable the kind of a run that the Colorado Rockies have been on just to get to this point. They've won 18 out of 19. Won on the road last night, beating Brandon Webb, who during that stretch was the one guy who beat him the last couple of weeks of the regular season. I mean, it's been a phenomenal run, and Kazuo Matsui, who did not work out well for the Mets, traded for Eli Marrero, has 7 RBIs in the postseason, leading all players. That's in the air to left. Ramirez is there to make the catch. Tagging and scoring is Casey Blake. 2 out in the inning.
The second good play that Manny Ramirez has made tonight. One on a ball hit by Kenny Lofton earlier in the game, and now a shoestring variety play. That is a fine play by Manny Ramirez. I think he had leather between the ball and the ground.
I think so. Either way, the run scores, and certainly tough even to determine in slow motion, but Ramirez has made 2 good plays out there. He's been involved all night offensively, and it's a 10-3 Boston lead as Hafner goes around. Strike 1. Double by Blake. Moved to third, and the fly ball down the right field line by Sizemore, and then that catch for a sac fly instead of an RBI hit for Cabrera. Base is empty, 2 out, 1 ball, 1 strike. But have you ever, with Colorado, seen a team that was counted out put together what they have? They've won 9 straight games on the road now,
with an assist from Tony Gwynn Jr.
That's why they're there. A 2-out RBI hit on a Saturday afternoon by Tony Gwynn Jr. of Milwaukee beat San Diego to keep Colorado alive for Sunday's game. They win eventually in that 1-game playoff.
Dramatic game, 13 innings.
Come from behind to beat Trevor Hoffman to do it.
Yep. Scoring 3 runs, not 2 runs. The Rockies had scored 2 in the top of the 13th.
The Padres had.
I beg your pardon. The Padres had, right? And then they came back against Hoffman to score 3 in the bottom of the 13th.
3-1 pitch.
Awful.
Ball 4 down and away.
And I don't think Matt Holliday has touched home yet, but it doesn't matter.
There is no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And just hearing Matt Holliday's comment, he said Tim McClellan's a great umpire. If he says I was safe, then I was safe. Which tells you all you need to know as to whether Matt Holliday thinks he was safe or not. the Duck. Victor Martinez will be the hitter. John Farrell out to talk, and let's go down into the seats with Chris Myers.
Well, our old friend Stephen King, the author and longtime Red Sox fan, has been coming since what, the 50s?
Yeah, since I was 10. That was the 50s. I'm ashamed to admit it, but it's true.
All right, and a pretty safe lead here tonight for your Red Sox?
No lead is safe in Fenway Park. None. I've seen them blow leads, extravagant leads in my time.
No lead is safe. The Fox programmers are happy. So we saw you reading a book earlier. I know you're scoring the game too. What are you reading? It's not one of yours?
No. Why would I read one of mine? I know how they come out.
Yes, but all right, don't get cute.
This is a book called The Ghost. It's a terrific suspense novel, and you know, with baseball, you can read 18 pages in the course of a game just in the inning breaks. And now that Fox is doing the games, you can do 27 pages because the commercial breaks are longer.
He does commercials and promos. All right, you can no longer use that long-suffering Red Sox thing since you won the World Series in 2004. So what do you think this year?
Well, the Indians are a great team, and the Rockies are on fire. We're just sitting back and enjoying it because we know that the Yankees are playing golf and worried about George Steinbrenner.
All right, always a thrill, Stephen King. Thanks for being with us.
That's it. 3-0. Thank you, Chris.
Joe?
All right, Chris. Always fun to talk to Stephen King. Here are the two catches tonight for Manny. Put a smile on Stephen King's face. One back and to his left, and this one coming in. He's having fun. Red Sox are lead 10-3 after 7.5. Well, it has been a perfect night for these guys in the middle of the lineup. For Boston and against Borowski, Ortiz goes up, hammers the first pitch off the center field wall. A leadoff double for David Ortiz.
David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez have been up 9 times between them, and they have been on base 9 times between them.
With 4 hits, 4 walks, and a hit by pitch.
That's the thing about David Ortiz. You do not see him try to pull the ball outside part of the plate, going with it. Tremendous power the other way. 52 doubles on the season and 1 here tonight.
They're the numbers for Borowski. 45 saves, led the American League, an ERA over 5. And here is Manny Ramirez, who's got his perfect night going. Add to what he's done at the plate with the 2 catches out and left. Lowell on deck as now the Red Sox hitters get a look at Borowski, but for Cleveland, they want to get Borowski an inning, get him some work. If you don't know, the Indians, their plan coming into spring training was to have Keith Folk, the former Boston Red Sox closer, as their closer. Signed him to a deal, but he retired. So Roberto Hernandez was an option. He was let go during the summer, and Borowski's been the man, compiling his 45 saves. Gagne is getting loose for the Red Sox in their bullpen. Ortiz a leadoff double, 2 balls and a strike on Manny Ramirez.
Manny Ramirez with 2 bases loaded walks tonight. It's only happened in 1 other postseason game, and that was back in Game 2 of the 1971 World Series. And who walked twice with the bases loaded? Gentleman Jim Palmer of the Baltimore Orioles.
2-1 pitch. Ramirez takes strike 2 over the outside corner.
I know Jim Palmer's watching the game tonight, and I wonder if he knew that. Knowing Jim, he probably did.
That up until tonight, he was the only guy to have ever done that.
He was the only guy to ever walk twice with the bases loaded in the same game in a postseason game. You see that in about 5 years, that Manny Ramirez and Jim Palmer. Trivia question: what do they have in common?
2-2 pitch. Ramirez takes ball 3. inside 3-2. I'm going to say Palmer doesn't know that or didn't know it because you and I have disagreed on everything all night. Ken, I'm sure you also agree with Tim that he did know. It's good to be back. 3 balls, 2 strikes in a 10-3 game. Bottom of the 8th, leadoff double by Ortiz. And another walk to Manny Ramirez. How about this detail of the game, brought to you by Sharp Aquos, official HD of Major League Baseball. Bring the details home. 10 times to the plate for the 3-4 combo of Ortiz and Ramirez, and 10 times they've been on base. And now Manny Ramirez is lifted for a pinch runner. Jacoby Ellsbury takes over at first. 36 plate appearances, Tim, for these two guys, Ortiz and Ramirez, to this point in the postseason. They've reached base 29 of the 36 times.
My goodness. What a tandem. We talked about it earlier. You try to separate the two. That has not happened tonight. They have hit in the same inning 5 times tonight.
In the first, they both got a single. In the third, Ortiz hit by a pitch. Ramirez bases loaded walk. In the 5th, Ortiz walked. Ramirez got another base hit. Both walked in the 6th. Now Lowell hits one into left field, lofted back. Nice play. Ortiz ranged far off the bag at second, but is able to get back. And Lowell flies to left, 1 out. J.D. Drew will have his second at bat of the night. Drew fly to center his first time up. With 2 on, 1 out, Drew takes a strike. See the score, 0-0, bottom of the 1st inning in Arizona. Game 2. 5-1 win last night for Colorado. Behind Jeff Francis, who not a lot of people know about, Canadian-born left-hander who was outstanding last night and getting the victory for the Rockies on the road.
Outstanding again after beating the Phillies.
Schilling will get the ball tomorrow night for the Red Sox, and Carmona for Cleveland. And I cannot wait to watch Fausto Carmona pitch in person.
I feel the same way.
Veritek on deck. Still 1-2. We'll give you a look at some of the numbers after Drew does something here with 1 out in the 8th inning. Numbers that you can read about all different ways tomorrow in the different articles that are written about this game, or tonight on webcasts, online, highlight shows. That's up and in, 2-2. But whatever way you cut it, the numbers are impressive on the part of the Boston Red Sox. Get on foxsports.com and check out those numbers. 2-2 pitch, broken back, ground ball to the right side. Garco makes the play, out at first, second and third, 2 away. And we go by the numbers for all of our statistically inclined and excitable fans. 5 times the bases have been loaded tonight for the Red Sox, and they've scored all 5 times. The 10 runs for Boston, the most in the postseason since 2004 World Series Game 1 when they beat St. Louis 11-9, and every Red Sox starter has hit safely. David Ortiz with a 9-game postseason hitting streak. And now with second and third, 2 out. Here's Veritek. And there's ball 1 from Borowski. Joe wanted that call, didn't get it. Veritek tonight has a hit, doubled back in the 5th. He's driven home 2. Ortiz led off the inning with a double. Ellsbury is running for Manny Ramirez. He's at second. That misses also. 2-0.
It is so odd to see a man who led the American League in saves with 45 have an earned run average over 5. A lot of those earned runs scored in games like this when saves were not on the line.
It is an interesting phenomenon, and it's not just with Borowski, but with closers everywhere. Veritek shoots one into right, but Gutierrez with a nice grab to his right. One of the harder hit balls all evening. Veritek dives back into that dugout. He'll put on the gear, go back to work. We go to the 9th inning. Game 1, 10-3, Boston on top. We go into the 9th inning here in game 1. Tim with telestrator work here in the 9th.
Well, if they hold on, if they can ward off a 7-run Cleveland uprising here in the 9th inning, it will be 7 more for the Red Sox.
And here is Gagne, Tim, and it was a derby between a lot of clubs trying to get Gagne from Texas. Jacoby Ellsbury takes over out in left field for Ramirez after pinch running for him. And Gagne, after putting together a strong start with Texas, 2-0, an ERA of 2.16, 34 games, 16 saves, got into 20 games with the Red Sox, lost 2 games, and had an ERA of 6.75. And he starts his night tonight with a strikeout of Chris Gomez. Pinch hitting for Garco.
And everybody in and around baseball thought it was a wonderful deal by Theo Epstein, and it just has not worked out. It's been disastrous, in fact. Nobody thought that Eric Gagne, if the Red Sox reached postseason, would be pitching in a game like this.
Coming up after the game, your late local news, except out on the West Coast, as Johnny Peralta digs in and takes high ball 1. Indians will come back tomorrow night with Fausto Carmona against Curt Schilling. One ball, 1 strike. Casey Blake has had a nice night with a pair of doubles. The Indians have 3 runs on 6 hits. Red Sox have plated 10 with just 12 hits. A lot of walks, a hit batsman. There have been no errors in this game. Hard hit left field, base hit on 1 hop to Ellsbury, and on with 1 out is Johnny Peralta. Our Chevrolet player of the game is the starter for the Red Sox, Josh Beckett. In recognition of his outstanding work tonight, Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to Major League Baseball charities Chevy and American Revolution. And it certainly could have been Beckett, Ramirez, Ortiz, the 3 leading candidates, and Beckett gets the nod.
Yeah, the Red Sox have excelled on both sides of the ball this evening.
Here's Kenny Lofton. Breaking ball in for a strike. Gagne at one point saved 84 straight, which is a remarkable number.
Unbelievable.
Pretty good velocity from Gagne, which had been down after the arm trouble he'd been through. He used to be, first of all, he used to wear number 38. That's why he's wearing the reverse of it, 83 here. He was just unhittable. Great change in velocity in his fastball used to register up there in the upper 90s.
Yeah, could throw any one of 3 pitches for a strike. The breaking ball, the devastating change, and the heater.
Just sticking the bat out and getting a base hit is Kenny Lofton. Going first to third is Peralta, and digging into second with a double on a ball into right center field, while Crisp and Drew don't do much with a baseball, is a hustling Kenny Lofton.
Just kind of plunked into right center, and Lofton running hard out of the box. Coco Crisp not coming up throwing. Well, I thought he was running hard out of the box, but he saw it right there, conceding a single initially, and saw Coco Crisp not getting the ball quickly, so he took it into second base.
Now pitch down and away to Franklin Gutierrez. It's a single, a double in the inning. 2 on with 1 out. And a 1-0 count on Gutierrez. A strike over the outside part of the plate, upper part of the strike zone. 1 ball, 1 strike. Casey Blake, who's 2 for 3 with a pair of doubles on deck. The Indians trail by 7. 1 out here in the 9th. And a 1-1. Check swing. He did not go. Ball 2. Kerwin Danley will be behind the plate tomorrow night, with the action right now from Cleveland on the bases. 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. Hideki Okajima gets loose for the Red Sox in their bullpen. Peralta and Lofton, the runners on. 1 out. 2-1. Fooled him there. 2-2.
Good changeup behind in the count with a 7-run lead. But it gives you an idea of the confidence that Gagne has in that changeup when he can throw it 2 balls and 1 strike. Normally a fastball count when you're up by 7.
By the way, the guy who wears 38, Gagne's old number, is Schilling, who gets the ball tomorrow night. 2-2 pitch. Not close. Full count. Curt Schilling will bring with him all that postseason experience. 9-2 career record in the postseason against Fausto Carmona, who has made that 1 start, but it was impressive against New York game 2. Three-two pitch, 2 out. Gutierrez chased one up. 94-mile-an-hour fastball, 2 out.
That's the 3rd time Gutierrez has struck out tonight, and he did indeed chase ball 4.
24-year-old couldn't lay off, and with 2nd and 3rd, 2 out, it's Casey Blake. They didn't need you to change it.
No, they didn't.
They already marked down this one as a win, with 2nd and 3rd, 2 out, and a 10-3 game. Ball 1. Gagne stumbled after letting go of that pitch.
All those pitching changes, a lot of times the landing foot, there are an awful lot of holes on that landing area, and Gagne almost turned an ankle, it appeared.
Meanwhile, the home plate umpire, Randy Marsh, just assessed another ball in the count because Gagne went to his mouth with his pitching hand while on the mound. So the count's 2-0. And now 3-0.
I would think that on a night where it's 51 degrees, that pitchers should be allowed to blow on their hands. But not so.
The 3-0 pitch is high and the bases are loaded. Back to the top of the order, and with John Farrell coming out, Grady Sizemore, the left-handed hitting center fielder, is coming up, and Okajima's in the bullpen if they want to go that way. Fox NFL Sunday this Sunday. Pre-game show gets underway at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, and then our matchups: the Redskins at the Packers, where Kenny Albert and Troy Aikman will be. The matchup: Panthers and the Cardinals. And Jason Campbell of the Washington Redskins will be featured in our pregame show, Fox NFL Sunday. As you look at the thermometer, as Gagne is trying to get the final out here. Bases loaded, 2 out, 10-3. Sizemore up.
One more hitter is the way you got to figure it.
Another one out of the strike zone from Gagne, and those who are left here at Fenway Park are getting anxious. Another one missing. 2-0. So in what I'm sure Terry Francona was hoping would be a confidence building inning, here's Gagne struggling to get the final out. Sizemore takes ball 3. Now Jonathan Papelbon has had to get up in the bullpen for the Red Sox because Gagne is having so many problems here in the 9th. This will be the 25th pitch of this 9th inning for Gagne. Full count.
After receiving the ball back from the catcher, Jason Varitek, we've seen Gagne stretch his arm out every other pitch. Looks to me like his arm's bothering him a lot. He says no, but does not have that extra zip on the fastball. That a movement like that, usually that denotes shoulder strain.
3-2 pitch. Game over. No damage is done against Gagne in the 9th. He made it interesting loading the bases. And the Red Sox take game 1, a final of 10-3.
I'm sure a lot more uncomfortable in the end for Terry Francona than he suspected.
So the Red Sox win it behind the pitching of Josh Beckett and that lethal 3-4 combination of David Ortiz and Manny Ramirez. 2 perfect nights at the plate. 10 plate appearances, 10 times that duo reached base. And there is the DH, Manny Ramirez, shirt untucked. And the Red Sox are up 1-0 in this best-of-7 ALCS. Thoughts of a pitcher's duel coming in, and that just never materialized with CC Sabathia unable to get through 5 innings here tonight. Let's go down to the field and Ken Rosenthal. Ken.
We're here with David Ortiz. Joe, David, you knocked CC out in the 5th inning tonight. You scored 7 runs against him. What was your approach?
Well, you know, we pitcher like CC, you know, when he give you something to hit, you want to make sure you hit it, because otherwise you might never get to see that pitch again. It was a little wild tonight, and you got to take advantage of it.
You and Manny reach base all 10 of your plate appearances tonight. What will it mean to the Red Sox chances if you guys can stay this hot?
Well, let me tell you, in playoff, getting somebody on base, it might cost you a lot later, because, you know, it's a short series and you want to take advantage of everything. So we're going to try to keep it that way. If they don't give you nothing to hit, you just take a walk.
Fausto Carmona tomorrow night. Much different pitcher than Sabathia. What are you guys going to try to do?
Nothing, just stay through the ball like we've been doing it, and try to produce against him. He's another good pitcher. He's been doing well, and you want to keep that in mind.
David, thank you very much. Joe, back to you.
All right, thank you, Ken. The producer of tonight's game, Pete Macheska, the director, Bill Webb. Associate directors are Aaron Stoikov, Judy Wong, Wayne Wilson, and the broadcast associates are Brian Biederman and Yvonne Wagner. Technical producers Dan Rotante and Sid Drexler. Technical director is Jonathan Evans. Studio show produced by Gary Lang, directed by Bob Levy. Associate director is Stephanie Medina. For Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal, Chris Myers, I'm Joe Buck. So long from Boston, Jeannie and Kevin coming along in the Fox Network Center right after this. 10-3 Boston, game one.